Many people have been and gone through these lands, some to conquer, some as travelers, some came to trade. Karabakh has always been prominent in all such historical plans and accidents. Thus, time and time again, black clouds have covered the skies above this region. Why Karabakh? This question will always occupy our thoughts. Karabakh is famous not only for its fascinating landscape, its mountains, summer pastures, valleys, springs, castles, mosques and temples. It also won hearts for the courage and justice of leaders who ruled these lands for centuries, for the art of its poets and musicians, the skill of its craftsworkers, the diligence and hospitality of its inhabitants. Karabakh, the legacy of our ancestors. A Sufi poet of the Turkic world, Mir Hamza Said Nigari, described the beauties of Karabakh so: a land of light, glowing with splendor. If the world is heaven, this is even more beautiful than heaven. The word Karabakh is from a collocation of the words Kara, black, and Bakh, garden, in Azerbaijani Turkish. In Turkic languages, the word Kara also means big as well as black. So Azerbaijanis called their fascinating lands Karabakh, meaning big garden. In the early 14th century, the eminent historian Fazlullah Rashidaddin spoke of a territory called Karabakh in his Jamiat Tavarikh. Mirza Jamal Javanshir Garabaghli describes the historical borders of Karabakh in his History of Karabakh, penned in the first half of the 19th century. The magnificent Karabakh mountains in the south, running from the Araz River to the Sinig Bridge, located between the peoples of Kazakh, Shamshadil and Demirchi Hasanli, from the Kur River in the east to the Kur and Goran rivers in the north, and with Kushbek, Salvarti and Erikli in the west. The beautiful nature of Karabakh covers the southeastern slopes of the Lesser Caucasus Mountains, with their valleys, gardens, springs such as the Isa Spring, rivers, summer pastures, alpine meadows, the Gamush, Kerkez and Boyakkars mountains. Rivers including the Teter, Hachinchai, Kondelenshai and Karkar. The thousands of species among its healing flora, such as the unique Hari Bulbul and a diverse fauna. This environment has inspired and captivated the people of these lands, as well as the hearts of travelers. The epic Kitabi Dede Korkud sheds light on the history of the Oghuz Turks who lived in Karabakh and the Goycha Lake Basin. The Kitabi Dia Bakria also offers valuable information, saying that the Khagan of the Oghuz was buried near Lake Goycha, and that Bayandor Khagan lived and was buried in Karabakh. In his History of the country of Albania, Moise Kalenkutuklu also wrote about the Turkic and Albanian tribes, the Saks, Utis, Karkars, Sovdes, Huns, Khazars, Sabirs, Kardimans, Chilbs, Chuls and Lipins, who were the ancient tribes of Karabakh. The stone monuments, balbals, in Karabakh prove that the land belonged historically to Turkic tribes of Karabakh. The first evidence of habitation in Azerbaijan was in the Gurjai Valley, between the regions of Khojavend and Fuzuli. Ancient people lived there 1.5 million years ago. A lower jawbone belonging to a woman who lived 350 to 400,000 years ago was discovered in the Azik cave in the Gurjai Valley. Following the invasion by Armenia, the Azikh cave was excavated by illegal expeditions. Archaeological excavations revealed that the most ancient urban culture in the Caucasus was in Karabakh, in Uzerliktepe to the east of Akhdam. The horse skeleton from the 12th to the 11th centuries BC in Porsunlu Kurgan, relating to the Hojali Garabay culture, belonged to the predecessors of the Karabakh horse. The archaeological findings discovered in Karabakh prove that people of the same culture lived in these territories for 1,000 years and indicate that the Armenians migrated to the Caucasus, including to Karabakh. Most ancient researchers, as well as Ma, Acharyan, Adonis and Abegian, well-known academics in Armenian studies, confirmed that the Armenians moved to Asia Minor from the Balkans. Urartu inscriptions from the 8th century BC mention the names of the Karkar, Uti and Albanian tribes, who were the ancient inhabitants of Karabakh. Although the Urartu captured the shores of Lake Goicha, they could not conquer Karabakh. In the early 7th century BC, the lands of Azerbaijan were united for the first time under the Ich-Oghuzisket state. Ishbakai, the Khan of the Ich-Oghuzisket, had made the Karabakh territories his central province. As Alexander the Great of Macedon died in 323 BC, his empire, which ran from the Balkans to the Indus River, disintegrated, and a number of new states emerged. One of these states was Albania, in the north of Azerbaijan. Karabakh was one of the central provinces of this state. In the early Middle Ages, the territory of Karabakh was included in the state of Caucasian Albania, which consisted mainly of Arsakh, Uti, Petakaran, and the eastern part of Sinig province. Arsakh covered the mountainous part of Karabakh. Uti was located on the Karabakh plains, and Petakaran covered large areas of Belagan and along the Araz River. The name Arsakh refers to the Sak Turks, who ruled these lands in ancient times and meant brave Sak. In the early 4th century, Christianity was declared the state religion in Albania by its ruler Urnair. In 488, Vashagan III the Pious adopted a range of laws, strengthening the position of Christianity at his ecumenical council in Aluan Church in today's Akhdam. Moise Kalankutuklu wrote that in the mid-5th century, Albania's ruler Vacha II made Partav, today's Barda in Uti province, his capital. This moved Albania's political center from Kavala to Barda. In 704, Catholicos Elias, head of the Armenian church in Dvin, by deceiving the Arab caliph, achieved the death of Nersis Bakur, the Albanian Catholicos, and even the temporary subjection of the independent Albanian church to the Armenian church. At the same time, many valuable Albanian language books from the Albanian church library about the history of Karabakh were thrown into the Tatar River. The local Christian Albanian rulers also actively supported the Koramite movement, which was the strongest rebellion against the Arabic Caliphate occupation of Azerbaijan. From the 9th to the 13th centuries, Karabakh was one of the most crucial provinces for the Sajid, Salarid, Shaddadid, Great Seljuk, Eldanizid and Ilkhanid states. The Sajids printed money in Barda. The Shaddadids built the Khudaferin Bridge over the Araz River. The Ilkhanid ruler, Kazan Khan, took the throne in Karabakh in 1295. As the Arab Caliphate divided in the 9th century, the dukedoms of Sunik and Arsakh-Khaчин were established on the territories of Karabakh. As the heir to the ancient Albanian state, the Arsakh-Khaчин dukedom gained in strength in the mid-13th century under Hassan Jalal. One of the Turkic world's mightiest rulers, Tamerlane, chose Karabakh as his residence during his campaign in Azerbaijan. In the 15th century, Karabakh was a principal province of the Karakoyunlu and Akkoyunlu states. The Karakoyunlu ruler, Jahanshah, ordered that the title of Melik be awarded to the family of Hasan Jalal, Duke of Arsakh-Khachiin. Before 1441, when the Armenian Catholicos was moved from Cilicia to the South Caucasus, to Echmiadzin, there had been no settlement of Armenians in this region. In the first half of the 16th century, one of the four governorates of the Safavids, established in Azerbaijan, was that of Karabakh, with Ganja operating as its center. The founder of the Safavid state, Shah Ismail I, appointed a representative of the Gajar family to Karabakh. When an enemy attacked, the Karabakh cavalry fought in the front lines of the Safavid army. The Ottoman army conquered the territories of the Karabakh Governorate during the Safavid-Ottoman War of 1578 to 1590. Ottoman records show that Karabakh was divided into 7 districts, sanjaks, and 36 areas. Later, the Safavid Shah Abbas I liberated Karabakh from the Ottomans. It fell under Ottoman Empire rule again in the 1720s. At the time, its population stood at 122,000 people. Of these, 80,300 were Azerbaijani Turks, 37,800 were Christian Albanians, and there were 3,700 Kurds. In 1736, Nadir Khan Afshar punished the Karabakh Governorate, which had protested against him during his coronation in Mukhan, and he split Kazakh, Borchali, and Shamshadil away, transferring them to the state of Kartli. Some Turkic tribes were banished to Khorasan, and the Christian Albanian Meliks, who were subjects of the governorate, were granted more rights. After Nadir Shah's assassination, his empire was split up, and many khanates, sultanates, and melikdoms emerged in the territories of Azerbaijan. The Ganja and Karabakh khanates were established in the territories of the former Khanate governorate. One of Azerbaijan's most eminent men of state, Panahali Bey Javanshir, was born in Sarajali village in Karabakh. Mirza Jamal Javanshir Garabaghli's History of Karabakh tells us that Panahali Bey was famed for his prowess, served under Nadir Khan, and was a high-ranking figure. He was later forced to leave his motherland when he fell out with Nadir Shah. After the latter's death, Panahali Bey returned and founded the Karabakh Khanate in 1748. The population of the Khanate mainly comprised Turkic tribes, including the Javanshir, Bayat, Ziyadoglular, Lirmidorlar, Otuzikiler, Kabirli, Kolani, and Baharli. Panahali Khan had Bayat Castle built in the Kabirli region. This was the first center of the Khanate. Panahali Khan earned an even greater reputation as he repelled an attack by Haji Chalebi Khan of Sheki on the castle. Although the center of the Khanate was later moved to Shakhbolak Castle, the Shusha fortress became the main center upon its construction in 1756 to 1757. It was named Panahabad after its founder. The Christian Albanian Meliks refused to acknowledge Panahali Khan and led a policy of separatism, encouraging neighboring states to attack Karabakh. To put a stop to such campaigns, Panahali Khan took control of the Varanda, Khachiin, Dizag, Chilabord, and Talish Melikdoms. This was a struggle by the Karabakh Khanate to preserve its independence. With the exception of Khachiin, the Meliks in Karabakh and the families they came from were not originally from Karabakh and had migrated here from other regions. The Karabakh Khanate grew even stronger under Ibrahim Khalil Khan, who succeeded his father. Although the Christian Albanian Meliks planned a crusade against Karabakh, together with the Georgian king Heraclius II and the Russian army in Tiflis in 1787, these plans fell through as Russia and the Ottomans came head-to-head at war. In 1795, Aga Muhammad Khan Qajar failed to conquer Shusha during his first campaign against Karabakh, although he managed to siege the Shusha fortress for 33 days. In fact, he managed later to conquer Shusha at his second attempt in 1797, but he was assassinated there soon afterwards. On the 14th of May 1805, Pavel Tsityanov, Russia's commander-in-chief of the Caucasus, and Ibrahim Khalil Khan, ruler of Karabakh, signed the Korekche Treaty, which placed the Khanate under Russia's patronage. The treaty thus launched the tragedies that continue today. In June 1806, Major Lisanevich, head of the Russian garrison in Shusha, and his men killed Ibrahim Khalil Khan and members of his family in a place called the Khan Bagh. Russia thus breached the conditions of the treaty it had signed. Russia then recognized Mehdi Gulu Khan, the son of Ibrahim Khalil Khan, as Khan of Karabakh. By the Gulistan Peace Treaty between the Russian Empire and the Qajar state signed on the 12th of October 1813, the inclusion of the Karabakh Khanate, along with other northern Khanates of Azerbaijan, into Russia was legally confirmed. The Karabakh Khanate was abolished in 1822, and rule by commandant was established. General Valerian Madatov of Armenian descent was commissioned to rule the province. This established the policy of moving Armenians to Karabakh. In fact, the idea of resettling Armenians in Karabakh was initiated by the Russian Tsar Peter I by a decree dated the 10th of November 1724, but the idea had lapsed with his death. Based on the result of the population registration in 1823, conducted by order of Yermolov, Commander-in-Chief of Russian troops in the Caucasus, of the 20,095 families living in Karabakh, 15,729 were Azerbaijani and 4,336 were registered as Armenian. Most of the families recorded as Armenian were in fact Albanians who had been Gregorianized and Armenianized. The Turkmenchai Treaty, signed between Russia and the Qajar state on the 10th of February 1828, granted Armenians living in Iran the right to move freely to Russian patronage. Gazaros Lazarians, a colonel of Armenian descent who headed the resettlement of Armenians into southern Azerbaijan, said in his appeal to Armenians, "You will gain a new native land inhabited by Christians. Hurry, time is precious. Although you will lose a little, you will gain everything very shortly and forever." In 1978, the Armenians celebrated the 150th anniversary of their resettlement to Karabakh and built a monument with the words Maraha 150 on it in Marahashan village of the former Mardakert region. The monument was destroyed on purpose before the Karabakh conflict began. From 1828 to 1830, approximately 40,000 Armenians were moved from Iran to Yerevan, Nakhchivan and Karabakh provinces. After the Treaty of Edirne, signed in 1829, following the Russian-Turkish War, around 90,000 Armenians were resettled to the Yerevan, Ganja, Karabakh, Tiflis and Borchali territories from the Ottoman Empire. Shavrov wrote in 1911 in his New Threat to the Russian Cause in Transcaucasia that more than 1 million of the 1,300,000 Armenians living in the South Caucasus had been moved there in different periods by the Russian Empire. By decree of the Russian Tsar dated the 11th of March 1836, the Albanian Apostolic Church was made part of the newly established Armenian Gregorian Karabakh Episcopate and was also subjected to the Echmiadzin Catholicos. While in the not-so-distant past, in the early 18th century, the Christian people of Karabakh referred to themselves as Albanians and did not consider themselves Armenians in a letter to the Russian Tsar Peter I. As the Albanian Apostolic Church was made subject to the Echmiadzin Catholicos, the Armenianization of the Albanian population of Karabakh entered its final phase. As a result of the administrative reforms of 1840 by Tsarist Russia, the province of Karabakh became the Shusha district. It was at first subject to the Kaspi district, and then the Shamakhi and Baku governorates. When the Elisavetpol governorate was established in 1867, the Shusha district was made a part of it. In 1883, two new districts, Javanshir and Jabrail, were established within the Shusha district. Karabakh was at the heart of the mass disorders that broke out in 1905 and entered history as the Armenian-Muslim War. Armenian bandit groups supported by Russian Cossacks and the Hunchak and Dashnak-Sutyan Armenian terrorist organizations murdered hundreds of Azerbaijanis with unprecedented cruelty and burned down houses during bloody clashes in Shusha on the 16th to the 21st of August 1905. However, the Armenian bandits had to retreat after strong resistance by the youth of Shusha. In his Men Are Like That, published in the USA, Leonard Ramsden Hartill recorded the memories of the Shusha massacre of an Armenian youth called Ohannes Apresian, educated in Shusha. Nothing was left apart from stones and ruins in the Turkic neighborhoods of the city. All the houses were burned down, their residents murdered. In 1905 and 1906, the Armenian bandit groupings conducted riots in different villages of the Jabrail and Javanshir districts. Ovanes Termaterosyan, an Armenian author known under the alias of Ado, wrote about the Hojali riots. The Armenians who captured the village looted the houses and burnt them down so that the people could not return to their homes. 300 people, including children and women, were murdered and burned in a massacre in Omudlu village, Javanshir district. Resolute resistance by the Difai party put an end to these massacres and riots, albeit temporarily. The people of Azerbaijan built a new independent state in northern Azerbaijan on the 28th of May 1918, after a century of subjugation to Russia. This was also a time when armed groups of Armenians carried out massacres against the Turkic Muslim population in Karabakh under the command of Andranik, Dron and Nujde. The Emergency Investigation Commission, established under the Azerbaijani government, reported on massacres in 157 villages of the Shusha, Javanshir and Jabrail districts. In these circumstances, the Azerbaijani government established the Karabakh Governorate in January 1919, which comprised the Shusha, Javanshir, Jabrail and Zengezur districts. Khosrow Bey Sultanov, who was noted for his resolution in fighting Armenian armed groups, was appointed the Governor-General of Karabakh. The establishment of the General Governorate drew protests from the Republic of Armenia Ararat, and the Armenian Parliament issued a resolution on a united Armenia, which included Zengezur, Karabakh and Nakhchivan. The Armenian Bolshevik, Anastas Mikoyan, wrote to Lenin, leader of the Soviet state, "The Dashnaks are longing to annex Karabakh to Armenia, but this would mean that the people of Karabakh would be deprived of their source of life, Baku." The Armenian villagers have also decided to recognize the future Soviet Azerbaijan and join it. In 1920, during the Novruz holiday, the Azerbaijani army led by General Major Habib Bey Salimov suppressed an Armenian revolt in Shusha that was instigated by Armenia. The Armenian terrorists were then destroyed completely at a battle near the Azgaran fortress. The Armenian revolts in Karabakh diverted resources from the protection of the northern borders, weakened the Azerbaijan Democratic Republic, and accelerated its downfall. Events around Karabakh escalated to a new level after Soviet-Russian troops invaded northern Azerbaijan on the 27th of April 1920 and the independent state of Azerbaijan collapsed. Armenia made claims on the mountainous part of Karabakh from the very first days of the establishment of Soviet rule. However, rebellions against Soviet aggression rose in Terter, Akhdam and Shusha in early June 1920. Although the rebellions, led by General Nuru Pasha, with the support of Azerbaijani army units, registered a number of victories in Karabakh against the Bolshevik Dashnak forces, the rebellions were repressed soon afterwards. The Caucasus Bureau of the Russian Communist Party decided that Karabakh would remain part of Azerbaijan on the 5th of July 1921. Karabakh was artificially divided into mountainous and lowland regions. With the establishment of the Nagorno-Karabakh Autonomous Oblast on the 7th of July 1923. Also in that year, Khanate, the center of the oblast, was renamed Stepanakert after Stepan Shaumian, the organizer of the March genocide in Baku. Although Grigory Arutyunov, the head of Soviet Armenia, appealed to Stalin to annex Nagorno-Karabakh to Armenia in November 1945, the resolution of the leaders of Soviet Azerbaijan defeated the plan. They also rejected a proposal by Echmiadzin Catholicos Vazgen I, who traveled to Baku in 1958 to give Nagorno-Karabakh to Armenia. The Armenian Gregorian Church had always financially and ideologically supported the stripping of these historical lands away from Azerbaijan. Soviet Armenian officials accused Azerbaijan of pursuing a discriminatory policy against the Armenian population of Nagorno-Karabakh and insisted that the autonomous district lagged far behind other regions of Azerbaijan. In fact, Nagorno-Karabakh had all the attributes of self-governance: the construction of Khojaly Airport, the Sarsang hydroelectric plant, Yevlakh-Khankendi gas pipeline, and Baku-Khankendi railway were evidence that the claims of the Armenians of Nagorno-Karabakh were absolutely groundless. As the Soviet Union declined and Heydar Aliyev was dismissed from his high rank in the Soviet Union in October 1987, Armenian nationalists once again raised the issue of annexing Nagorno-Karabakh to Armenia. A session of the People's Deputies Soviet adopted an illegal resolution to annex the Nagorno-Karabakh Autonomous Oblast to Soviet Armenia on the 20th of February 1988. 2 days later, 2 Azerbaijani youths fell victim to Armenian terror in Azgaran, thus becoming the first martyrs in the Armenia-Azerbaijan Karabakh conflict. The Supreme Soviet of Armenia resolved to annex Nagorno-Karabakh on the 1st of December 1989. On the 2nd of September 1991, the Armenian separatists announced the establishment of the so-called Nagorno-Karabakh Republic. In response, on the 26th of November, the Supreme Soviet of the Republic of Azerbaijan cancelled Nagorno-Karabakh's autonomous status. Soon afterwards, Armenia expanded military operations in Karabakh with the support of outside forces, and conflict developed into full-fledged war. On the night of the 25th-26th of February 1992, Armenian and Russian military units committed genocide against the Azerbaijani population in Khojaly. It was as cruel as anything seen before. 613 civilians, including 63 children, 106 women, and 70 elders were murdered. There were also massacres in the Azgaran village of Mashali, in the Shusha villages of Malibeli and Gushchalar, the Khojavend village of Garabaghli, and in the Akhtaban village Kelbajar. From 1991 to 1993, Armenia's armed forces occupied ancient Azerbaijani lands, Nagorno-Karabakh and 7 surrounding districts: Lachin, Kelbajar, Agdam, Fuzuli, Jabrail, Kubadli, and Zengilan. The liberation of Horediz district in the Fuzuli region by the Azerbaijani army marked a turning point in the Karabakh War. The aggressor Armenia and Azerbaijan agreed to a ceasefire on the 12th of May 1994. 20% of Azerbaijani lands were occupied. More than 20,000 Azerbaijanis were killed. More than 50,000 injured and disabled. Over 1 million people were driven out of their homes and began troubled lives as refugees and internally displaced people. Azerbaijan suffered material losses in excess of $800 billion. The Karabakh region has always been known for its uniquely rich material and cultural heritage. Molla Panavakif, Kasim Bey Zakir, Mir Musun Nawab, Khurshid Banu Natavan, Yusuf Vizier Chemenzaminli, Suleiman Sani Akhundov, Najaf Bey Vizirov, Abdurrahim Bey Hekverdiev, and scores of other eminent thinkers were all shaped in Karabakh's literary environment. The valuable works of the patroness of art and poetess, Khurshid Banu Natavan, and the eminent calligrapher and musicologist, Mir Musun Nawab, praise loyalty and fidelity to their lands. The magical fascination of Karabakh's magnificent mugams owes much to Shusha's Sadigjan, who developed the 11-string Azerbaijani tar, giving it a wider range than existing tars. As for the singers, Jabar Karyagdioglu, Mohammad Kuchekchi Oglu, Said Shushinsky, Zulfu Adigozolov, Sara Kadimova, Sakavat Mamadov, Arif Babayev, and Mansum Ibrahimov, all reminders of Karabakh. As you will hear at the end of this film, the revered Isfendiar Aslan Oglu Javanshir, honored with the name Khan Shushinsky, is remembered every time Karabakh Shikestasi is sung. The world-famous Uzeyir Hajibeyov, composer of Layli and Majnun, the first opera in the Muslim East. Bulbul, known for his classical tenor, and the exceptionally voiced Rashid Bebudov were also eminent art figures of Karabakh, all from Shusha. In 1982, the Soviet Azerbaijani leader, Heydar Aliyev, and celebrated public figures of literature and culture participated in the opening of a museum and mausoleum in Shusha, dedicated to the eminent poet Molla Panavakif. The Armenians destroyed the museum after the invasion. The famous Russian artist Vereshchagin depicts Shusha as a truly Azerbaijani city in his works. As a result of the Armenian aggression, archaeological monuments of the Hojali Gadabe culture, the Goha-Aga, Mamaya and Satli mosques, the Carpet Museum, mansions, caravanserais and Muslim graveyards in Shusha, the Juma Mosque, Panakhan's mansion, the Bread Museum in Aghdam, Khudaferin Bridges in Jabrail region, and hundreds of other important Karabakh monuments are gradually being destroyed. The Azek Cave is presented as Azokh, Shabulak Castle as the remnants of the Armenian Tigranakat city, many Albanian monasteries, Amaras in Khojavend, Khudavang in Kelbajar, Agoglan in Lachin, Ganjasar in Agdere, are falsely represented as Armenian monuments and churches. Carpet weaving is an ancient local craft in Azerbaijan. The weavers of Karabakh created the brightest, liveliest patterns of all the schools of carpet weaving in Azerbaijan. Achma Yuma, Mugan, Chalebi, Malibeli, and other Karabakh carpets are represented as Armenian carpets in a number of museums worldwide. The truth is that Armenians did not have a tradition of carpet weaving in the Caucasus. Azerbaijanis were historically the ones who engaged in this craft. The delicious Karabakh cuisine, an integral part of Azerbaijani national cuisine, always delighted those who traveled to these lands. Those dishes are being presented as examples of Armenian cuisine. The Jidir Duzu, a natural hippodrome in Shusha, used to host horse racing competitions with the finest golden Karabakh horses. Speaking of the Karabakh horse, that is a different story altogether, and an inspiring one. They are exceptionally valued both for their beauty and endurance. Kurban Said praised the Karabakh horse in his novel Ali and Nino. I looked at the horse and was struck numb. There stood the red golden miracle of Karabakh, one of the 12 golden horses in the whole world. No less inspiring was the determination of the Agdam stud workers to save the Karabakh breed when it came under Armenian fire in 1993. 6 men rode 160 horses cross-country overnight to safety. Their heroism was the reason Karabakh horses have been able to show off their beauty, daring and skills at the UK's Royal Windsor Horse Show. Currently, all the place names that belong to the Azerbaijani Turks in Karabakh are being Armenianized, and the internationally significant cultural heritage of Karabakh is being destroyed. Armenia ignores the demands of the UN to end the occupation. Attempts by the OSCE Minsk group to resolve the conflict yield no result. But our hopes do not die. New triumphs by Azerbaijan and its army, growing stronger by the day, victories such as at Laletepe and Gunut, and the return which began in Jojug Marjanli, spark hope of a happy future for the people of these lands as part of Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan struggles not just for pieces of land, but for the preservation of a wonderful culture. Liberated Horadiz has been completely rebuilt and has a thriving factory producing the magical patterns of Karabakh carpets. The Karabakh football team emerged from the ashes of its Imarat Stadium in Agdam and now pits its players' skills against elite clubs in the Europa and Champions Leagues, while telling its story as the club that cannot play a home game. Jojug Marjanli was taken out of the Armenian firing range in 2016 and is already a newly rebuilt town with a growing community. Development rather than devastation, returning life to this land is Azerbaijan's positive message to the world. Time passes. As it passes, Karabakh does not become more distant. It comes even nearer. We fight time to banish the gloom, raise the flags, read azans, and once again to roam those meadows and forests. We are not resigned to losing Karabakh, once more to hear mothers sing lullabies in their homeland. Once more light the family hearths, and once more to hear Mugam sound in Karabakh. We neither forget nor forgive. For Karabakh is the last stronghold. For Karabakh is the legacy of our ancestors. My heart roams in Karabakh, from one mount to the next, one evening from afar, in the air the Khan's voice, Karabakh Shikestasi.